And a very happy Halloween time from Becca and Carl. Welcome to Cooking with Carl and Baking with Becca this week. We are getting into it with some spooky recipes that you can make easily from your home. Carl, what are you into this week?
Making some cookies.
Making some cookies.
Dark chocolate, coffee cookies.
I love it. And this is super noisy. I am actually into making some little cocktail hot dog mummies. And then we're getting right into monster fingers. Super exciting. Now, monster fingers. Now this week, before we get into anything, Carl's gonna add some magical special effects here. Wow, our practical effects are hot this week. Anyway, what we are gonna do is get us started with an appropriate beginning by reading, and thank you, Hilda, a nice little piece from Macbeth.
Hey.
Which is, let's do this. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire burn, and cauldron bubble. Fillet of a fenny snake in the cauldron, boil and bake. I use toe of frog, wool of bat, and tongue of dog. Adder's fork and blind worm's sting. Lizard's leg and owlet's wing. For the charm of powerful trouble, like hell broth, boil and bubble. That's like a little Macbeth to get you in the mood, right? So welcome everyone again. Here we go. We are going to get started. We are getting right into our class today, and we are going to start off with our mummies. Yeah, let's do our mummies first. So maybe Carl can do the magical smash and open. We've got a can of Pillsbury dough here. You can get this really inexpensively. So what we need for this, our recipe for this, we're starting with these guys, is a can of Pillsbury dough, and then we've got a bunch of hot dogs that you can get. We've got the 24 wieners for the original no names here.
Wieners.
Wieners for sure. And those are the only two things that you need in the beginning.
So we're not going to use their designs.
We are going to use the designs in terms of chopping it fine. The last thing that we're going to use on these are little eyes, but those are for the end. So what we're going to do first is unroll our dough. So we're going to give this to you one recipe at a time today because we have so much stuff to get through.
How do they do this? Roll it up and perforate it.
So they roll it up,
How
and
does this not, stick?
It's
That's
going
the
to.
magic.
So the key is what you're going to do is bring it into the separate pieces.
Whoa.
Yep. And the first thing you're going to do when you get your dough on the table, so simple this week. Everything is pretty much a pre-made because you want to be able to, have this for your own little party. And you're going to start by slicing it into tiny little slices. I'm going to grab this tray because we're going to need it pretty much right away. So I'm opening up the hot dog pack here, which you can see. Here we are. And the first thing I'm going to do, Carl's losing fur in the recipe, is just stretch out the piece that I've got. So I'm going to stretch it fairly thinly. Because what I'm going to do is wrap up my hot dog in it. And if a piece breaks off, it's okay because you can just rewrap it. So what you're going to do is you take it and you essentially wrap the hot dog up. So we may not get as many as we would like this week, but we're still going to get quite a few. So what we're going to do is just wrap it up. And it doesn't real thin, and it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Off center.
They are.
It's also looking perfect.
Exactly, because they're supposed to be mummies. So Carl's going to do that first one. Carl's going to wrap that up.
And then
we'll just set it on the tray off to the side.
So the eyes are after.
The eyes are after because they're candy. They might melt.
They really sell the whole thing.
They really do. And then you use your fancy sauce if you like for
just that.
Just like that.
Not too crazy.
Not too perfect. Does everybody see what we've done there? Just kind of wrap that up.
We're gonna put here just for your imagination.
Maybe after we'll do it at the end. It'll be awesome. That looks great, Carl. So we're gonna continue to wrap these up. I'll put him on the tray. And the key is with these is that you lay them on the tray, you let them cook out for about 15 minutes at about 375.
Yeah.
And then you've got your little hors d'oeuvres, which are great if you're having people over and or kids and you're in a real rush. And nothing like a hot dog for a rush.
Where did you get your costume?
Where did I get my costume? Caroline, I got this one. I ordered it offline, the dress. And then the hat, we got it at the dollar store.
I like the dress. What's the expensive?
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was the scariest one I could find.
Pretty scary.
Pretty scary indeed. The closest I could get to those witches, having like a long nose and like lots of moles and stuff. Caroline, what are you doing for Halloween?
I don't know yet.
No,
Oh, okay. I would like to know if anybody has a scary story, even something unsettling that has happened to them, just personally. So everybody kind of has like one or two stories. Maybe you don't want to share, and that's okay. But I think we've all experienced one or two kind of weird things in our lives.
yeah,
I mean, I can start off with mine.
yeah, the ghost.
Well, I kind of did. It was a really weird experience. So when I was back in, I don't know, it was like second year university, I decided to go home. I hadn't seen my parents in a really long time, and they had moved out to a small northern Ontario town called Elliott Lake. And yeah, well, it's just this small town, and they were living in this big old house that they had purchased. They were so excited because they were able to get this great big house
Yeah.
for like pretty affordably, and it was a nice house. At least it was during the daytime. So I went there with my friends. My friends came with me, and my friend and I, because there wasn't like, I don't know, like there was rooms downstairs and stuff, but my friend and I were like, why don't we just stay in the same room, just because we wanted to spend time and chat, you know how you do that.
Yeah.
So my friend and I, we went to bed, and we were just lying down to go to sleep. And we had just turned out the lights, and it had been a totally normal night. There was nothing strange. There was nothing awkward or weird. First thing we heard when we turned out the light, and about 5 minutes after we had done that, we heard somebody walking down the hall. We heard footsteps right down the hall, stopped outside our door, and then we didn't hear the footsteps leave. And that bothered me because I was like, why would my parents get up and stand outside of our door? That's weird. So I got up. My friend was like, could you just check? And so I did. I opened the door, and there was nothing there. And I was a little like unnerved at that point, but I didn't say anything. I was like, oh, it must have just been the pipes. You know how you tell yourself these things to try to like settle yourself down. You're like, that's fine. It's all good. It's okay. So then went back to bed, turned out the lights again, was lying there for about a minute. And all of a sudden next to me, all of a sudden next to my head, the air just went freezing cold.
This is true.
This is very true, Carl. The air went freezing cold.
Is it cold out?
It was September. So the air went freezing cold, and I felt this anger, like it was just rage. And I sat straight up in bed. My friend sat straight up in bed at the same time. And if you hadn't told me, like if this was somebody else telling me this story, I would say, oh, you're crazy. Like it sounds like you're crazy. But I'm telling you folks, got real cold, sat up straight. I felt sick to my stomach. That's how angry whatever was around us was. Got up, flipped on the lights, literally said, get out of here. Like literally out of my mouth, the first words were, get out of here. Just like that. Because I was really angry too. Like it scared me so much I felt sick. So I said, get out of here. And then all of a sudden there was nothing. And the room temperature went back. And down the hall I heard, and my friend and I were just sitting there staring at each other. My parents didn't hear any of this. So my friend and I actually ended up getting up and going to the tiny little room down the hall, and we slept with the lights on all night.
Did you find out what was it though? That
I don't know. To this day, I don't know what it was. And it was just a really scary experience for me because I couldn't explain it. And I think those are the scariest things, are when you can't explain, right? And I've never felt like that since.
I do, but it's more about Carl.
Okay, tell me.
what's scary about Carlo?
When Carl was going to school, the little school he went to was haunted.
Oh,
Oh.
And it was the oldest school in North Scarborough, North
Gonna
Asian.
eat something.
And on certain nights, the caretakers would go in the morning and find the clocks had all been set back or taken down off the walls.
oh geez.
And sometimes you would hear footsteps, or they would hear footsteps in the halls at night.
Yeah.
But the creepiest part was sometimes when they used to have school nurses,
Oh, yeah.
the school nurse room was over the front door. And if you looked up to the windows, the people who lived across the street could sometimes see the shadow of a woman in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform.
Oh, my God.
Now, the school went back to the early, like 1908, 1910. So
Yes.
it was more like a mischievous type ghost.
Wow. That's a
Wow.
great story.
Wow.
Really interesting. Really
Yeah.
interesting. It's funny how, you know, sometimes they say scientists, like when they're talking about paranormal activity, they talk about residual energy and echoes more than they talk about like beings that are sentient.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like energy is somehow trapped and just repeats itself over and over again. And it's like a shadow of its former self, which is really fascinating. All right, so I'm gonna throw these in and then we'll get back to our
Wow.
stories here.
Wow,
Here's
look
our
at
money.
Have some with dough. I wish I was there to eat it.
And now Carlos, tell us about his cookies.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna get
never-
started. I don't know if it's time. You think it's time?
I think it's time.
I
Tell
just
me
wanted
about
my,
what you're making.
my butter to soften here.
Yeah, okay. Tell us
So
about what you're
it's
making.
just cookies, but
What's in it?
good question. We got a cup of butter.
Yeah.
Room temperature. That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Unsalted, I got salted. 3/4 cup brown sugar.
Yeah.
A cup of granulated sugar, lots of sugar. 2
Awesome.
eggs. Vanilla.
Yeah.
Flour.
Flour.
Dark cocoa powder. So,
Ooh, to make it, here, we were trying to
Well-
make black food, but we had some trouble this
yeah,
week.
so I got regular, and then also we're gonna add some espresso powder or instant coffee. Maybe that helps with the color.
Nice.
And I got some dark chocolate nibs or chips at the Bulk Barn.
Fantastic.
And then
Fantastic.
so the cookies are supposed to be almost black, and then you get something like orange or Halloweeny to put in. So I got Reese's Pieces. They didn't have orange M&Ms.
We love that though, Carl, that's
As long as you
perfect.
don't have a peanut allergy, right?
No, I don't think so.
Mhm. And what are we doing? So I got my butter. You think I should use the mixer?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Do you feel like
We
you
got a
need
lot
a
of
mixer?
stuff on the table, hey?
Yeah, maybe like if
Maybe
you
not.
want to use
Maybe.
the mixer, you can. I'm gonna be working mostly over the stove with my next stuff,
Yeah,
Carl,
what
so.
do you got?
Well, the next thing that I'm gonna be making, I'll be right there,
Yep.
are my notes, but I am gonna just bring these up here. We did also roast off some pumpkin seeds from our pumpkin carving, so I'm just bringing some for Carl here to taste.
How it is?
I don't
What's
know
that you try to make this time? What you try to make this time?
Oh, Caroline, if I could hear you, I would respond, but right now,
Now watch out.
my cauldron's really loud.
Oh,
Can you say it again, Caroline?
There we go.
what are you making this time?
All right, so this time Carl is making his dark cookies. I am making monster fingers.
Too scared.
Oh,
Scary monster fingers. Carl, what do you went over your recipe list? Carl's starting to mix his ingredients,
Yeah, I
but
got a cup of sugar.
good.
I'll put all the ingredients later.
Yeah.
Cup of sugar, yeah, 2 eggs. I'll say them out as I go. I guess.
Yeah, all right, that's perfect. And then here's for our fingers. We've got, these are called candy melts. We got them at the Bulk Barn really inexpensively. So for my monster fingers, while Carl's making his cookies, what we're gonna need are long, thick pretzels, so the thick ones.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like the background for your fingers. You're gonna need your different kind of candy melt. So I've got green ones, blue ones, orange ones. I do. And then you need your fingernails.
Oh,
So
gosh.
fingernails
That's
are
gross.
almonds. Almonds. Where's my almond? I can't see. Can you see? There we are. So those are what we're doing. These are very basic, very quick to make,
How do
and they look
stick?
awesome on a party platter.
Yeah.
Well, candy melts are just really white chocolate with food coloring in it.
Oh, is it?
It is, so they melt really well. And so what I'm gonna do first is I think we'll make some green ones to start. Shall we start with green, team?
Yeah.
Frankenfingers? I think so. All right. Has anybody made these before?
No,
So the great thing about these, friends, the reason why I selected these to be made today, super quick, super easy. And honestly, because it's COVID, they're like single treats, you know, that you don't have to serve as a great big treat and then cut up. You can just serve it to people's plates. So COVID friendly and monster friendly too. So the first thing I'm gonna do is come over here and I need to start melting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. I think that's probably, I might have to add a bit more water to my hot water. Yeah, so the hot water has to be up pretty high for me to be able to boil my chocolate. It has to touch the bottom of my bowl. So I'm gonna go ahead and I have to, yeah, it's like a double boiler thing of a jig.
I see.
So I'm gonna put a little more hot water in there just to bring it up to level. And then I'll wait for that to come to a boil. Carl, what are you up to while I'm doing that?
Pretending to bake.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, so.
Oh,
But these
you're
are
not being an
easy,
expert, it's
easy
Halloween.
cookies, yeah.
So I'm gonna wait for that to come to boil and I'm gonna take a look at what Carl's doing. So you've got eggs, brown sugar,
Vanilla.
vanilla. Look at the size of this vanilla that we found yesterday. Awesome. Yes. Now, while Carl's looking for his teaspoons, does anybody else have a spooky story? Anything that they haven't shared with us? Anything strange, weird, or uncomfortable? Doesn't necessarily have to be about ghosts. It can be anything that you thought was a strange occurrence in your life.
Every morning on the TTC.
Every morning on the TTC.
Some weirdos.
Has anybody read any classic horror like Shirley Jackson or Edgar Allan Poe? Anybody like classic scary horror literature?
Lovecraft.
Lovecraft is awesome. Lovecraft, for sure.
He's a weird one.
He is a weird one. I also love Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley is particularly one of my favorite, only because I know she's very like pushed and Frankenstein is a very popular story, but what I love about it, and what I loved about that whole crew, her, Percy Bysshe, all of them, they were so young, 17 years old when she wrote that story. And you have to think, what kind of life experiences have you had at 17 that you're writing like that?
Yeah.
Like that's unbelievable. But because life expectancy was so much shorter back then, people just pressed so much harder with everything that they did. And people were so intense about it. But that whole crew of people that used to chum around together, there was 5 or 6 of them that used to chumming together. But they all came up with some really amazing stuff.
Didn't they all get married at 16? And
Well, they had to.
Yeah.
They were going to die at like 29, 39, right? So you had to get it all in fast. But just incredible work and really interesting, sad stories, but also like, I don't know, really raw and interesting too. I love it. Looks good to me, Carl. It honestly looks awesome. So while he's getting rid of this monstrosity and we're getting ready for that, I'm going to take you over to our chocolate melt so that we can start over here as well. So I'm going to take a quick peek. Oh, Carl. We're doing a million things at once today, friends. Let's take a look at these. These guys are coming out now too. Our mummies are looking good. So we're going to take those out to cool them. Here we go. So I'll pull these out and then we'll get going on to the next thing. But Carl, how do you feel about your cookies? Feel good?
no,
No, what's wrong?
just can't stir them.
Okay, well, that's all right. I think they look stirred to me. Let me see. They look great. They honestly look really, really good. So you can see Carl's cookies are a little bit moist. What do you guys think? These look pretty good, right?
are they drop cookies or roll cookies?
Carl? Are they drop cookies or roll cookies?
I have no idea.
We're gonna roll them, I think. We might roll them. So I'll set those aside and then I'm going to just close this so that Carl can get his cookies in whenever he's ready. So we need a tray for those cookies, don't we? All right, so give me a moment. I will find a platter for these and then we'll put the tray over for your cookies. So it's looking good, Carl. I And what is the flavor of those cookies? Did you say coffee?
And there's some coffee in there, yeah. with
Nice.
chocolate.
So here's a few of our mummies. I'm gonna put them over here for the time
Are you
being.
ready?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put them over here, just so that they're out of the way. And then we'll get on to the other stuff in a moment.
What does it say about baking time for your cookies, Carl?
8 minutes at 350.
Call from life.
So 8 to 10 minutes doesn't take a lot of time at all. So these are all things, which is amazing,
Yeah.
that can be made really quickly,
We're watching the show.
which is really good. So I'll set these aside too. Here we are. So I'll put these here. I'm just gonna move the blues and the eyeballs, and then Carl will have his tray. Do that, do this. Look at those mummies, looking good. Pretty nice, huh?
Okay, bye.
They're coming. So this is all stuff you can put together fairly quickly. So while Carl's starting to get ready for his cookies to be rolled,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring this over here for just a moment. Now Carl taught me a trick about looking at this camera. So I just wanna make sure everybody can see the bowl. What I'm gonna do is put it like that so you can see. There we go, and we can see Carl too in there. And the first thing I'm gonna do is take some of these melts, ooh, the bottom is hot, and put them in the bowl. So I've gotta melt this chocolate. So when I'm melting the chocolate, what I'm waiting for, and what I wanna do is ensure that it doesn't burn, right? So right now I have it sitting on some hot water, and I'm gonna get a wooden spoon so that I don't do anything to, or a spatula, so that I make sure that everything is kosher here. So I can already see at the bottom a little bit of melting happening. So it'll take a minute or two for this to start to really, and if this isn't working, if it doesn't melt fast enough, then the key is that I have to take it to the microwave, but I can see it kind of coming into pieces here. So we'll give it a moment. Now your hot tip this week, so your hot tip for Halloween is when you're melting chocolate to add a little bit of coconut oil to make sure it doesn't seize up. So this is gonna make sure that it's nice and thin. Now I'm going to take just a teaspoonful of it and I'm gonna put it in because it has a really good like low level of melting. So like you can touch like coconut oil to your body and in like 5 seconds it's melted. Those of you know it has like a really high melt ratio. So low tolerance for heat, which just means it's got a lot of really good solid solid fat in there. So coconut oil. So we'll just get it in there and let it melt down.
Why don't you talk to me?
How big do you think I should make these?
What's
Is that too big or?
No, those are great. Those
Yeah.
are awesome. I think the members will really enjoy them.
All right.
Here we are. So the melts are coming slowly but surely over here. So what's everybody doing at their place for Halloween this year? Is anybody carving a pumpkin or doing any decorating?
Maybe a pumpkin.
Pumpkin?
Did you find one?
I think we're going to find one today or tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck. We had some trouble finding one.
I'm gonna buy my favorite Halloween candy, Coffee Crisp.
What's that?
I'm gonna buy my favorite Halloween chocolate,
What are
Coffee
your
Crisp.
favorite Halloween chocolate?
Coffee Crisp.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Oh, I love those. I love those.
I usually buy it the day after when they're 50% off.
That is very wise. You know what? I have friends who do that too. It's just
And a box
easier,
of
right?
chips too, like the pack of fish chips.
Yeah. Oh, the melts are finally melting, friends. Finally, I'm gonna loosen it up with a bit more coconut oil. Took quite a long time there. Carl, your cookies can go in anytime that you
Yeah.
want, eh?
You don't need that one?
No, I have it ready for you.
Okay, I'm just putting some more chips on the top.
Oh, awesome. I love the look of these cookies, eh? They're so Halloween with the
Let's
colors.
see.
I'm a huge
I
fan.
think they're a bit big, but
I like them big, and I think the members are gonna like them big too, and if you're here later in the week, you might even get to taste some, friends.
Is this Crystal?
What's that?
Elena, how are you?
All right, here we go.
Okay, are you guys doing anything for Halloween?
So we're just gonna go ahead and put a little more coconut oil to loosen it up just a little bit more. Because I need it to be a little bit looser.
Yeah, just the rain, that's why I haven't been coming.
Go.
This Friday, is it this Friday you're doing it?
So we're gonna go ahead.
What time?
So you can see now that this is fairly loose. Now it's not as loose as I'd like it to be. I'd like it to be a bit looser, to be honest.
Is that your glue?
That is, yeah, that's what I'm gonna use to cover them.
Yeah.
We'll use it. This should be good. And you just want it to be fairly loose enough to cover the outside. So I'm gonna need a tray as well, but I've got one over
We got
here
two?
and I'll just bring it over for sure.
These only need 10 minutes somehow.
Awesome. Those are amazing. So I'm sure they'll be done before we're done here. Awesome. So I think for us today, what we'll do is we'll just make the green ones, but I'll save the blue ones for an activity here later in the week. Now I am gonna add a little bit more coconut oil. I can see that these ones are quite tight. The chocolate's quite thickened, so I wanna make sure that it's loose enough that it's like dippable, right? So I am trying to loosen it just a little bit more by adding more and more coconut oil to it, just to make it loose enough that we can kind of have it work. So I'm just working it through. There we go. And then I think we're just about ready.
375?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this all the way down now, so I don't want this to overcook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want it to burn or seize, so I'm gonna just leave that like that. Yours is ready to go, 375?
350.
350, awesome. Amazing, so I'm gonna go ahead, that seems pretty soft now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take Carl's gonna put his stuff in. There we go, all the way in the oven. Looks great, Carl. And I am going to go ahead and put these in here. Now, this is supposed to be honest with you, it's supposed to be very dippy. And mine are not super dippy here. I'm not sure what I've.
Like liquid?
Yeah, they're supposed to be more liquidy. And I'm just gonna try to mix it up a little bit more to see if I can get a little more liquidy happening here. Because this feels more crunchy than liquidy. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead.
Becca,
Yes?
if your bowl is touching the hot water, that'll make a difference.
Oh, okay. So worse or better if it's touching?
Worse.
Oh, shoot. So that was the issue then. That was the issue. That's so too bad.
You want to use the pot or is it too late?
I think it's probably too late. That's okay, but
Does it harden?
it does. It's supposed to. Thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me know. So what I'm gonna have to do instead of dipping it is just pile it on. But that's okay. We're gonna pile it on and set it down. So I'm gonna put this over here for a second. What I'm gonna do with this first few here is pile them on. Oh, sorry, Carl. Go ahead. Yep, so Carl's setting up his timer here for his cookies. I have completely botched this chocolate, but it's okay because it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Here we go. So we're going again. And it looks like I've overheated the chocolate. I've never used a double boiler like this, like trying to MacGyver. So unfortunately, I've done it incorrectly. But the good news is that it's still looking okay. It's still looking okay. And maybe, Carl, maybe you can help me. Do you think you can put that on while I kind of demonstrate what needs to be done here? Yeah, just cover them as much as possible. So what I'm going to do, thank you so much, Carl.
The
What
whole thing or just the bottom?
Just pretty much leave a little bit at the bottom for a finger. So what I'm going to do with these guys, so you can see, here's my thing. So I'm going to take it and make a couple of lines here and a couple of lines here. So it looks like little knuckles. So a couple there and a couple there. And then I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to put it on the end. How's that?
That's cute.
Looks just like a fingernail.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for
Almost
helping me,
liver?
Carl. Yes, amazing. So 1, 2,
You
3.
could even get weird like sesame seeds.
Oh, for
weird
sure.
warts and stuff.
For sure. So here's our little fingers and they're awesome. And you can do them in all different colors. You see, I have like blue and orange and you can make the nails look funky. And I'm so
Actually-
lucky that Carl's helping me today. Yes?
Actually, the chunks in the chocolate there kind of look like little warty things. So it's even better.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. So these are kind of cute, eh? And now if I was doing blue ones, I would do blue sparkles, but I think I might just put some sparkles on these. You can put a few sparkles if you want.
The fun part, I guess, is the decorating.
The fun part is the decorating, exactly. And if Carl, if you want me to cover so you can make a few of these, you can.
Okay,
You sure?
the cookies are baking.
All right, perfect.
Just mummies, right?
Amazing, just the mummies.
Oh,
So we're gonna finish off. So it's really coming through and things are going well, but are these things that you feel that you guys could do at home?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, give it a go. So this is the thing, like these are things that you can kind of prepare and just have and then hand it to people at the last minute.
This is a perfect color.
They are a great color, eh?
Which skin?
Which skin? I like that, Carl.
What's that show? They're always green for some reason.
They're always green, the witches. So here we are again, so you can see. And you really don't have to be like a master baker to do this stuff. Like Marlene said, she was really astute when she said that it would be important to make sure that your double boiler isn't touching. So Marlene, what's the best way to double boil when you're doing it yourself and you're kind of MacGyvering?
Oh, you had the right idea. Just the top pot shouldn't touch the bottom. It should be the steam.
Perfect. Okay. So remember that for next time. The top pot should never touch. That we're learning, so we're getting there. And,
Another hot tip.
pretty good.
Hot
Tip.
tips.
If we could make, do you think we could make quite a few more, Carl? Or
Yeah.
are you okay with that? That would be awesome. So these are looking kind of awesome and scary and gunky. Does anybody else have any suggestions for a Halloween feast? I heard Hild say black bean and salmon. Anybody else doing anything spooky for Halloween? Food?
Yeah.
Nah, we're holding off, are we? That's awesome.
The grapes.
The grapes, the eyeball grapes. Oh, I love it.
Well, that's more, what is that? You can't see it, right?
No, that's
What are you
right.
using- Becca, what are you using as eyes for those mummies?
For the mummies, we are using candy eyes. Surprisingly not. You can use little pieces of pepper if you want them to be red, or little bits of mustard if you want them to be yellow. Now, as we're keeping going on these fingers here, Carl is working hard and we appreciate Carl. I'm going to put together one of these so that you can actually see. So here we go. What I'm going to do is just stick it on the end.
How do they stick?
So technically speaking, I would put a little bit of ketchup underneath.
Oh, ketchup.
And check that out. How's that? Ridiculous. One.
The eyes were selling.
The eyes do sell it. So I'm going to stick this eye in here like this. So I'll just stick it in.
I'm going to be using peas, the
Oh,
frozen.
perfect, Hilda. That's it.
Plastic googly eyes.
Yeah, don't use plastic googly eyes. That would be terrible. But I mean, yes, you can certainly put them on any way you like. Maybe with a bit of sauce, maybe with something else. But they're real easy to do. And honestly, really lovely to serve, especially I think people just appreciate the thought that goes into it. Even if it's not absolutely perfect. It's Halloween. It's not Christmas time. You can really enjoy yourself and just make it work, right? Hashtag making it work. Hashtag Becca and Carl.
So they just sit and dry.
So these sit and dry.
Okay.
These sit and dry. And let me just do this.
Maybe scary.
Beautiful. How are the cookies looking?
Got a minute left.
Another minute left. And then what we'll do is we'll present a little platter of all of
We're
these
gonna need
things
to.
together.
Yeah.
That's right. So that people can see our scary, scary success here. Yeah, why not? Let's just make as many as we can and not waste them. You're absolutely right, Carl. So we'll just make as many as we can. But these are, here we are. So I assume if you've rendered your candy melts properly, you'll have a lot more control, but that's all right.
It's usually more like a solid.
It is, it's usually more of a liquidy thing. Let me just taste this.
It's not bad. I mean, it's sweet, right?
It's white chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So candy melts are literally just white chocolate. Here we go, and I'll do this. These are looking great, Carl. That's a really broken fingernail there. Goodness. All right. Did pretty well. Carl's in there and he's doing his best. Usually we should be able to do this.
Yeah, oh, just dip it.
Just dip it, but unfortunately, because of the state of the chocolate, it's a lot harder to dip it. But that's all right. Carl's bringing out the cookies, friends. Let's see how they turned out. Yay.
Stuff, just be careful.
All right, so we've got hot stuff coming up on Carl's side. And while he's setting that down, those are looking awesome. Check those out.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Party bladder, huh? So let me just take a quick peek and see if I do have something to put all this stuff on. All right. Let me see. I'll put a couple of the cooler items on.
Yeah, we can see it.
Eyes
Pretty scary platter.
and the fingers and the cookies. And that's pretty much it for our Halloween episode this week.
I'm really impressed with the little mummy string.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, they looked great. And honestly, folks, we really appreciate you sharing your spooky stories with us. It was wonderful to see you. And we hope you all have a safe and happy Halloween. Remember,
Thank you.
your Halloween party happening this week. So Friday at 10:30, join us for a virtual Halloween party.
10:30?
10:30, come in costume. I'll be in a different costume. This was just my cooking costume. I have a few
It's a
costumes.
warm-up costume.
This is the warm up. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, everybody. We love you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you.
Bye.